or no tech issues. Looks like we're in it, which is good.
In it to win it.
In it to indeed win it. God, I mean, the expectations for Netshoes Miners are very, very low. It's always frustrating when you as a caster see teams that just aren't able to play up to what their potential ought to be. I think Netshoes Miners as a team should be better than the scores that they've had at this point.
Yeah, but then there's the reality of your opponent, right? I mean, it would be so wrong to say, you know what? Netshoes Miners, they've had some unfortunate games, but there is no way NIP can beat. It's like, no. Like, NIP should just destroy them looking at the trends, right? The only big challenge so far for NIP was an 8-7 victory against FaZe on Consulate, and that's really it. And Netshoes Miners, they're not a FaZe clan. They're not a Team Liquid. They're not a W7M. Not yet. Of course, with time, they can change, they can improve, they can learn, etc. But they are a young team with this current roster. They've gone through some changes, and yeah, they're only a couple games in. Like, it's, takes time.
I guess that's what. Everybody, it's time for our very final match of the day. Again, I say this because there was a lengthy tech issue. So we are underway. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Before we get there, I would like for you to take responsibility because you kind of caused the tick delay.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
You said, hopefully, there'll be no tech issues. And 4.5 minutes goes by, maybe less. And then this happened. And I want you to acknowledge that you have a part in how the universe makes things play out. It's very important to me. I want the best for you, Parker.
I don't know if you can blame me for that. I don't think I did anything wrong.
I mean, technically, people can blame other people for no reason at all due to their own ignorance. So I could absolutely blame you for it.
True.
For no reason. But I choose to give you a reason and an example as to why my reason is that way.
All right, well, let's get underway here.
Okay.
With what could be our shortest match of the day. So far, we have needed all 12 rounds for our first game, all 12 rounds for our second, all 15 rounds. So that's regulation plus overtime for the W7M Team Liquid matchup. And now, Netshoes Miners versus Ninjas in Pajamas going to Chalet. Will we need all 12? 2. We'll find out.
We did see the bomb site being picked before the rehost happened. There was indeed this master bedroom bomb site. And we saw the operator line up. And I'll be honest, I can't remember it. I don't even gotta try to. But I do believe it looks similar. I remember the mirror and the Fenrir at least being there. Operator bands, they're of course the same. Cannot change that. Cannot change the bomb site. But I do believe nowadays with the rules of attack and repick, you can technically change your operators at least with the attack inside. Either way, means you're gonna start in 10 seconds time. And NIP looking to make a statement. They always like to show off in the first couple of rounds and kind of set the tone for the game to come. I think NIP on attack, they can be very lethal. We saw in Consulate last week against FaZe that they can fly in that building real quick if you let them. So I like the fact that Netshoes Miners are kind of putting up a couple of issues here in their path. The mirror windows, the utility, and the spawn peek is attempted by Netshoes Miners as well from Cons, but he takes a, onto Cons, and Cons takes a fair bit of damage, but he stays alive.
Without even like looking up, I just see the MP7, and I'm just so accustomed to it being a bandit. Yeah. Seeing it on Fenrir always kind of throws my mind for a loop here.
It's like Warden and Valkyrie, right? The MPX. Not the same issue there.
Just playing in the tub. Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 dread mines in a tub.
Yeah. At least you're safe from nades in there as well. I can't, man. I can't.
There goes Logic Bomb. And very limited follow-up from Nip so far. I would
Yeah.
imagine that the keys to success for Ninjas in Pajamas are to be quite brisk with how they want to approach this map. Get in quickly. Do some damage. Get a pick
Also
or two, but right now, half the round expired, and honestly, it's hard to tell what Nip has accomplished.
I mean, they've opened some windows and some doors, and I mean, this is the classic, like, phantom pressure, like, oh, we're over here, we're over there instead. But they've been rotating literally all across the map multiple times, and they haven't gotten any actual map presence inside the building as of yet, and I think they're kind of relying on Ninjas Minor's lack of experience, and what should have been one or two kills, it's like 0 point of damage for Moosey somehow. A little bit sloppy there. Let's blame the tech issue. You know, they warmed up, now they warmed down. They gotta warm up again here in the server. First round is just a warm-up practice round here, but it will count, of course. P extremely slow here, with only 45 seconds left to go.
This is a really sluggish pace. Maybe not exactly what Nip wants. Very, very sluggish. What are they doing at this point? There goes the logic bomb, so I have to imagine this is when the rubber will meet the road. Still nothing. Now it's Levy to take some damage. He's the first to fall. Traded back as Pino is off of the board. STK also getting beat up in this position. Damage is continuing to be done, but Nip's only going to have 10 seconds left. Nearsighted is Cons with Wizard side by side. Very limited utility. Bassetto pops up. Down he goes. Musi on the board. Cons getting Diffuser down. Can STK stop him? Yes! Nip gets the final 2 kills, though, right as the clock expires. That's as close as you're going to get. Oh, way too close for comfort.
That's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, if you turn back the clock there, NIP could have done exactly that, but 2 minutes quicker than what we just witnessed. They spent every single second basically accomplishing nothing in the round, and then they realized, oh, there's 15 seconds left. I guess we should press that W key on our keyboard, just walk on in and do what they do best. Play off one another, get those trades, establish the crossfires from the attacking side on the engagement on the bomb side itself, and you would think the bathroom player Fenrir just laying down there the entire round had a really good position and a good read onto NIP. The second he stood up, immediately shut down, despite the Fenrir mine being inside of, Solarium, just like near-sighting the attackers. It just didn't matter. And this is exactly what I expected from NIP. Just a lot earlier in the round.
Watching the Netshoes Miners Brigade up top over the bomb site now. I'm stunned at how slow Nip was on that round. Just absolutely gobsmacked. And the fact that they still won it just goes to show you the prowess that Nip has when it comes to getting down and dirty and just going for those kills, because honestly, the moment that STK killed Cons holding on to that diffuser, I thought that was it for Nip that round. How wrong I was.
Oh, wrong once or twice. It's okay. I too was very wrong in that round. I like the exterior basement walls being reinforced from Netshoes Miners. Just another, again, layer for MP to deal with. We tend to see teams go to the basement, or up the fireplace staircase, and breach that single wall into stock to apply some pressure onto the sole bombsite member, typically. It's Levy in this tough position, the library corner, where often you'll be dealt with, or have to do some nades, some flashbangs, capital fire sometimes, and gotta play that fine balance between sticking around for long enough to burn as much utility as possible, but also falling back towards the bombsite with that head drop sooner than when the nade hits your feet. Doesn't seem like any people attack it though. They're doing the same kind of we're nowhere to be found strat. The one exception, a wizard is actually inside the building.
Small opening in that garage panel now being watched by Pino towards connector, but there's nobody even remotely close. Now circle around towards the games window. Very important that Nip clear out library above as fast as humanly possible.
They did it. They cleared out library.
I mean,
with a single drone.
They've cleared it, but they haven't taken control of it.
Well, you're right. There is that mirror into facing them down. And a C4 as well.
There it goes, tossed out, but nobody is home. 1 minute remaining and still limited action at the moment. Explosives used, grenades thrown. Nobody dead. Hans holds the diffuser and will have to drop right into the Viper's pit. Or nest. Still soft destruction. Nip really not looking confident here. Musi and Wizard, though, get on the board. Even if structurally their attacks might not be the greatest, they're still able to get the kills that are required. Logic Bomb goes out. Paceto struggling with basically a drone. At this point, he can't struggle when an opponent finds his way in front of him. Neskin will need to retake through lobby, but will hit the barbed wire. That's information that Nip will have as they are slaughtering all of Netshoes miners. Neskin looking for 1 kill. Cons with diffuser in hand, successfully getting it planted. Neskin gets 1 kill before Pino pulls out the sidearm and guns him down. Still a risky round from Nip, but they get the kills that are needed. With diffuser 2, they win 2-0 for Ninjas in Pajamas.
I mean, it's a risky round because the time is so low on the clock, but outside of that aspect, it's extremely one-sided in both of those rounds. NIP, when they want to, are just running over Netshoes minus in those gunfights. I mean, Cons sprints into the bomb site, Jiggle peeks the door into stock, and it just pre-fires down a player. Like, there's no chance. Neskin pistol whips the last guy alive. It looks like it's a great start in these rounds for Netshoes miners, but the end of these rounds are just absolutely brutal, and it's not going in their favor.
What a beautiful view. A lot to see. I'm assuming this is a downstairs defense.
I believe so. Given the thermite attacker repick, that's the safest assumption at least, and that has reinforcement that does it too. Oh. And wait, right here. Boom. There we are.
50 seconds later, we get to see the action. Hell yeah. Finally in on it. And now we can begin to go over the setup because, frankly, I can only assume how these Netshoes miners players would go about approaching this bomb site, but no real idea. Just, yeah, riding along the attackers. Already that trench door seems to be prepped. I don't know if that was Nip who did it or if it was done ahead of time by the defense. Also sounded like the exothermic charge on garage door was successful. If that's the case, that's an entry point into the bomb site that will now effectively work to cut off the bottom of main stairs, the bottom of blue, or at least the doorway into blue, and then connector as well. But with a mirror on the board, I have to imagine that there's a very default mirror spot. I'll be staring at that now open garage door, but all we can do is speculate.
The roam is pretty heavy here from Netshoes miners. Normally on a basement hold, you don't tend to extend that far across the map, but they're playing top floor, first floor, and the basement itself right now. They do have those mirror windows, going to help them, of course. The mute jammers. NIP, I think this is a good time to take it slow. There's so much map to work with. They got the Monty. They can just kind of play for intel. Oh, they actually have a rotate as well, made by the defending team. You see NIP trying to get a stronghold, lock down that Whispering Staircase flank, drone out trench and pipes, and see what the bomb site looks like. Once they realize this kitchen dining hatch is open up towards the bomb site itself, they have to roam clear or push deep in through side.
Mighty up above, looking for a pick. He's got a hatch to drop off. Both he and Neskin holding similar positions. Seto swinging around, but smoked by Cons, who lowers the shield and gets the shot off. Levy in tough shape. They do indeed have that mirror setup that we talked about, staring at the opening. 40 seconds left. Some of that wine wall has been opened up. Wizard goes for a hop in, not expecting Neskin to be there. Pino also rushing in. Cons, the only one getting kills at the moment, but Psycho is side by side. EMP thrown at the wall. Now Cons will assume the position to go for a plant. It will all come down to Psycho to hold off the last two players from Netshoes Miners. Don't have a clear line of sight towards this diffuser, which goes down successfully. Now we're in a post plant. Excellent play by Midi from above. Cons will have to be the one to get it done. Limited HP and only a pistol to his name. Timer will be his ally. Both players will swing from the same direction, challenging from that blue door. Meat shield established. What a play by Cons to get both at the same time. And sloppiness from Netshoes Miners as they line up perfectly. Nip undefeated through these 3 rounds.
Cons was playing Monty and got 4 of the 5 kills because it started off with Smoke swinging that side door, and then Cons just walks in, hit fire headshots in first bullet. Phenomenal play. And you have to kind of question as well, what were Netshoes Miners doing? They knew the last guy was the Monty because he had gotten kills earlier, he was spotted out, etc. They had exact info on the operator. If you're 1 versus 2 against the Monty, you don't have to bait out the defuse like a typical player. You just run at him. Sure, he was standing there ADS expecting the push, but you can do some jiggle leaning, try and get the intel, tap the diffuser one time and try and play together. Monty cannot fight 2 members with that ADS pistol. Doesn't do a lot of damage, doesn't have a lot of bullets, and it didn't really have any HP to work with. But he made the clutch work in his favor. That is some good play. He had to go on the offense, he knew it. And what was a sloppy round from NIP not dealing with that roam? Actually, well, they did a pretty good play around it. They just pushed deep to the bomb site when they recognized, okay, there are in fact 2 members roaming, because they knew Mir was on the hatch itself, and Diego was the person who killed the ace inside of West Main. They could deduct from that. The last 2 members alive were indeed off-site. A good read from them.
Well, Nip pulling off the perfect rotation, but not the way that you want. The 3 bomb sites played by Netshoes Miners in the bedroom upstairs, Bar Gaming on the main floor, and then Garage in the basement, not breaking in their favor whatsoever. It's been very close rounds, though. The score does not tell you the whole story. Nip have been quite sluggish on their first 2 rounds. They had a better pace on that most recent execute onto Garage. Tons of bloodshed occurring. That, honestly, I don't know if Nip should have walked away with a victory in that round, but sometimes you win rounds that you have no right winning.
It's true.
Another attempt for Netshoes Miners upstairs on bedroom. I imagine Nip will approach this bomb site with a bit more gusto than we saw in the very first attempt.
NIP, they are happy to try out different operators though, which is a good sign. We have both the Twitch and the Flores now, but they keep doing this thing where they find the opening kills more often than not, and their conversion rate. See, Dapper spoke about it on the desk. Ever NIP gets the opening kill, they tend to pretty much always win those rounds. And we see NIP, yeah, they can swing out and be offensive when they have to be, but when they get into this man advantage, they also have to slow it down and really try to leverage that advantage as much as possible. Look at this. They're expecting another offensive move from Netshoes Miners, try and get back the numbers into an even 4 versus 4. So if Netshoes Miners were to go for that play, they'll be shut down because NIP are holding those angles. Psycho, you gotta actually peek it, my friend. You can't shoot the tip of it. You gotta commit here. 2 saps, both misses. Waiting for the 3rd recharge here to get down that Fenrir mine. But Levy finds Cons on the breach that just got opened up by, well, Cons himself.
Cons has been the most important player. I mean, we just witnessed the previous round of how he handled it as the Montaigne, but more importantly, been rocking it on the support-oriented roles. This time is Hard Breach. Hopefully all of those Selmas have gone down, and hopefully the job has been done so that it's not detrimental that they've lost an ace. STK falls to Wizard, and Nip regain the lead in terms of numbers count. There's 2 smokes on the board in the hands of Psycho, so STK would have been especially good at dealing with that. I don't know if Bassetto falling through the hatch was intentional or not, but if not, that leaves only potentially 2 players from Miners still on site. Nip get ever closer. 2 separate bodies, both looking in different directions. With Pino and Wizard to now possibly flush them out, and there go the flashbangs. End up flashing Levy, Neskin as well, as he seeks comfort inside of the bathroom. Bassetto's gotten back up, but looks the wrong way. Nip's guns are just too hot at the moment. Way too much for Netshoes Miners to deal with. Attempting the plant, only one player up for Miners. It's Neskin, who gets gunned down after getting a pick. Diffuser doesn't go down, but it doesn't matter because all the kills come in well within the timer. 4 in a row for Nip. Netshoes Miners still not able to win a round.
No, and it's again, this pretty much comes down to sheer individual gun skill. I mean, yes, NIP, they have great team synergy and coordination. The double set of flashbangs going out, the Thunderpick call, they push on and they establish again that crossfire that they force the defenders to peek into, which is very abnormal. Typically, attackers, they walk into a crossfire from the defending team, but NIP, almost every single round, they manage to get a foothold on the bomb site itself and force Netshoes Miners to swing them. The bomb doesn't even go down in most of these rounds because, well, the kills, they end the round first. And then what do you do for Netshoes Miners? I think you start playing some individual playing, what should you say, buffing operators, right? Try and make NIP, suffer more. Because like the Echo Stun from Yoga Jones, the Lee Shingu mines, the Ella Grismot mines, try and weaken them in a sheer one-to-one scenario, kind of like what Fenrir does. Or you can play Mirror Windows, play Deployable Shield, and play Utility. You can't just fight NIP one-to-one with a gun because very evidently NIP are just outmatching the players of Netshoes Miners.
I don't really know what you can do at this point to solve the issue, because it looked like, at least in a couple of the previous rounds, even the rounds where it came down to the wire, it looked like most of the time Netshoes Miners were not prepared for the duels against Ninjas in Pajamas, and that really shouldn't be the case when you look at the players on this Miners squad. You've got good guns. You've got players that have competed for major championships. You've got major champions on the team. This really shouldn't be something where there's such a huge gulf of gun skill between them. But even if Cons dies early, Wizard steps up. You know that Psycho and Musi can take over games. You know that Pino can do it as well. It's been a disappointing start to the stage for Netshoes Miners. I know from their potential they are able to do better than they are doing. Sometimes you don't realize that potential. Will it happen in this matchup? Right now, it seems unlikely, but anything is possible at this point. Even something like that. Look at a failure to shoot a Flores drone. A Rotero drone makes an awful lot of noise. You know it's coming for the soft wall, but Neskin is just looking the other way. And now they've lost a very vital wall that leads into one of the most crucial parts of this bomb site, or rather to hold for this bomb site down below.
Yeah. There's a bit of a camera, they use the intel. But this also, remember, like, NIP back in their prime, there were this, very lethal Thors that nobody could really deal with. They were kind of what we see now from W7M. Like, they were just such good individual players with synergy. And you just take the steps, 1, 2, 3, one step at a time. And you look at this, no one's really overstepping their welcome. They're waiting for the drones. Musi kind of baiting out Neskin's position here. And then aggressing to the gunfight afterwards.
Swinger Be Swung is the name of the game for Neskin at this moment, and with the P90, he's got 51 bullets to make his presence known and can heal himself back up. Can't save STK, though. A first pick going in favor of Ninjas in Pajamas yet again. Finding the board early, helping the Ninjas quite a lot. Neskin still swinging on this same window. His presence known by the Logic Bomb, finished off by Pino. There goes Wizard. Mitty will follow. It's Levy and Bassetto. 2v4. Uzi by Piano. There's the Rotero drone to open up some of the floor. It's great that Nip have the top floor control, but that's not where the bomb site is, Nick. It's down below in kitchen. Continue to tear away at the floor, and Levy's life miserable. The 2v4 can swing in favor of the two. Very Netshoes Miners are hoping. 10 seconds left, and Musi is still trapped upstairs with that diffuser about to drop. Smoke, but it's not good enough. There goes Pino. Levy doing some serious damage. Musi running out of bullets. What an embarrassing round for Ninjas in Pajamas. It's the first time the Netshoes Miners can get on the board, and honestly, they're given a leg up by how dreadful Nip looked that round.
Yeah, what was that? I mean, it started off, honestly, in a completely fine way, but they don't do anything for like 40 seconds. Yeah, they break the floor apart, but they lose one member. While the second takes a bunch of damage, nobody's shorting out the bomb side, and they're forced to just drop the hatch with all the soft walls around it opened up, with no intel what the side looks like. That is puzzling, absolutely. I was kind of expecting NIP to just like walk down the Solarium stairs, take those gunfights as they have been doing, but instead they kind of just didn't do a whole lot. And I don't know if it was like what one bullet left for Musi or he lagged out or something, but it looked like he was kind of clocked out, and maybe it's a tech issue, not entirely sure, but that's not really a major problem that round because that's Musi in a 1 versus 2. The issue for NIP was what happened before it came down to the wire. Sloppy play.
I'm imagining with the tech pause issue that it indeed was an issue, and I mean, he's talking to the admins right now. From my perspective, it looked like he shot a single bullet, which I would imagine the culprit for that simply would have been the new reload changes. You only have a single bullet, right? You reload, you forget about it. You reload, cancel, just a single bullet, and that's that. But, I mean, you said it correct. Another tech issue that we will have to wait for information on.
Well, you're right. I mean, I thought at first glance as well that it was just like a single bullet issue, but then after he fired, he also stopped moving. Well, I was like, you wouldn't stop moving even if you're like, nobody gives up like that. You know, you stop to your secondary, you die in the midst of animation or whatever. But yeah, frustrating. I'm sure for NIP, if you're the players, you're gonna maybe blame that a little bit on that. You know, like, I could have gotten him if my mouse worked or whatever the issue was. And, classic kind of try and take away the root of the issue, being like, it wasn't our fault, guys. Like, we actually did well in that round. I don't let that bother you. Like, we're fine. Just a tech issue, whatever. We'll go next. Because while you are 4-0 up and now 4-1 for an IP, we do know that some teams and some players, they do struggle with, let's say, the mental side of the game, right? Where your emotions can get the best of you, you can tilt and get frustrated with yourself or your teammates, with the game, whatever, something stupid is happening. And sometimes you gotta just kind of laugh about it. We saw, was it yesterday in the NAL, Troy Canadian from Dark Zero, he blew himself up with a Retero drone, and we didn't see on stream why it happened, but in the interview afterwards, Jesse asked Troy, because DC did, spoiler alert, win the game, and Troy said that he had started his Retero drone, and then he heard a guy on piano, so he went off it. What happens is that the Retero drone will just keep driving forward until the timer runs out, then self-explode. But somebody from the defense had used the bulletproof camera, the secondary gadget, and shot out an EMP on the drone as it was moving, which stuns it for 10 seconds but keeps the timer running, basically. So when Troy had swung the piano guy, he went back to drone where he was before, and then that 10-second timer from the EMP expired, and he immediately blew up. Like, there's nothing he could do about it. And he just kind of laughed and said, I guess I didn't have to read on it. And that's such a good take because Troy's one of the most experienced players in the world, and even he did not have the read on that situation with the EMP from the defense. It's wild.
Don't know if the issues have been resolved or not. No admins present is usually a good sign.
True.
There we go. All players from NipBin SDK getting the last operator to lock in. The timer is live, so we are back in the action. Longest day of Brazil so far. Damn, the matches have been good.
They have been good matches. Also, let's recollect my memory here. It's been 4 different maps as well, yeah? It has been, yeah.
Hmm?
Big fan of that.
Cafe, Skyscraper, Border, Chalet.
Yep. What we have not seen today, however, is a good old Blitzy boy round. I'm a huge fan of Blitz. I would say probably, Pino. I would say probably a bigger fan of Blitz rounds than Monty rounds, just because Monty's all about the super fine decision making when you play the Monty, and it's kind of hard to understand what's good and what's right. That's why it's difficult to learn how to play the Monty operator. But with Blitz, it's all about speed and chaos, right? How fast can you run into that bombsite door and just start off that round explosively? And it's so easy to understand when a Blitz does a good job and a bad job, and I just love watching it. Of course, Blitz is a time and a place. And to be honest, Chalet typically isn't the time or place for the Blitz player or operator, but you can wish. You can always wish for it.
You got debated.
Yeah, I did. He goes from Blitz to Flores. Like, what happened there? They're like completely not the same thing at all.
Are you just like mad that he's not playing the operator?
Yeah, I'm a little bit mad.
My bad.
I think the way NIP is playing the game, I could really see a blitz working for them. I guess you can make the argument that, you know, they're all so good with guns, it's a bit of a shame for them to play the blitz. But we also saw Cons literally get 4 kills on Monty, 3 of them being while ADSing, so it could work.
What Levy was looking at and what he was aiming for, but Ipep looks so sluggish on attack. I wonder if this pacing changes when they swap on over. Maybe Netshoes will play more aggressively on attack, or Nip will feel more at ease and confidence. Hard to tell if it's the map right now or just simply the team, but even though they're up 4-1, Nip certainly haven't looked like the squad that we've seen over the last couple play days.
Yeah, I'm actually curious if this might be a conscious choice, just being like, guys, let's take this as, of course, a serious match, but a practice game to try out maybe this new playstyle they've been working on, because it looks like it's very decisively that they're playing this slow, because everyone's doing it together. Like, nobody's overly exposing themselves. Look at this. The second they get the man advantage, they all back off trench. Nobody's nearby that door. Nobody can get swung. So it seems like a stylistic choice more than a, oh, NIP are struggling to enter the building. But it is peculiar.
Very, very slow. Something that we don't need to keep saying, but I honestly think needs to be brought attention to, just because of the fact that Nip are not usually a slow team. One of the things that, you know, the older Nip squad was so well known for was how fast they could set paces. Seto might learn just what level of quickness Nip are capable of. Down he goes to Cons. Rotero drone going in, 30 seconds to go.
Very calculated. They drone bait it, they second drone bait it, they flash it, they get the kill. Yeah, time is slow, but look at this advantage they got for themselves. 25 on the clock.
SDK playing this angle, but that might not be where you want to be. 5 players still alive. Down goes Cons. That's Diffuser as well. Now Pino has access to it. 2 kills from Netshoes. They lose midi. SDK scavenging for kills above. Stopped in his tracks. And there's Muzi to get the final 2 kills. But his PC works. You can see what he's capable of. 5-1 the first half for Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah. If you tell me the score, I'll be like, you know what? I expected this 5-1 situation. But then you watch the video, like the entire VOD, you're like, huh, I did not expect how we got here with all of how these rounds have turned out. But the more I see it, I truly think this is a conscious choice by NIP, because it's so calculated. It looks completely wrong. If you had hit the names of the players and the team logos and all that stuff, anonymous matchup, you would have never guessed this was NIP that was just attacking for 6 rounds straight. But that's a good thing, because obviously it's working. Yeah, the round score, the clock is running down quite low, you know, sub 10 seconds most round, and you can argue it's close, but they are so dominant once they actually get to that execute stage of the round. So I'm going to take on my positive hat and say they're trying to practice the disciplined way of playing Rainbow Six Siege and the strategic way of trying to solve problems and not just brute force the moment it's difficult. And that requires time, especially if you're a team like NIP who are known to be super quick, like we keep saying, who are known to just be like, okay, guns blazing, easy peasy. Because there was a time back in like, what, 2020, 2021, really like a small portion 2019 as well, where NIP was the team. They're the main character. They're doing so well. Winning invite, making the finals the year before. They did great. And then they kind of fell off a cliff. Like, really, really hard fall off. And the kind of nature of why that happened was because they didn't change anything. Now they've made a resurgence. They're back, you know, quote-unquote on top. Doing great so far. But there's a twist to it. They're able to play these more flexible operators. Their playstyle has both slowed down in some areas and sped up in others. And they're trying to utilize all 10 drones alive in these rounds. Either that's the case, or they're just like Giga Brain confusing everybody and just gonna do it for the sake of being confusing. I don't know. But it's working. They're 5-1. Oh.
I feel like we've been more critical of Ninjas in Pajamas than Netshoes Miners, even despite the fact that Nip is punishing them. But I think that is more than anything a game of expectations.
Yeah.
When you look at the way that these two teams have played over the stage so far, we're going to be critical of the quote-unquote better team, and Nip has objectively been the better team between the two. So when the better team does something wrong, you're going to come down on them a little bit harder because your expectations of them are higher.
Yeah.
For NetShoes Miners, my expectations are they win a couple rounds. Realistically, they haven't really shown us much else to warrant expectations above that. The fans of the two teams in the chat, just in case you're wondering why we've been talking the way we have, that's the reason.
Much like NIP, NetShoes Miner is also taking their time and paying their respects to the possibility of a disgusting gunfight that could just break out at any moment's notice. 2 drones left, so NetShoes Miners, they gotta go in blind very soon. But compare this round to NIP, right? Because they're playing both slowly. When NetShoes Miners have that explosiveness and synergy to effectively break this defense, or will they just fall short the moment they press that button where they say, it's time to go? Still got a minute left, 1 drone alive currently, and they have taken a tiny bit of map control, but not really near the bomb site just yet.
There goes Wizard. STK, very first pick. Psycho trying to keep numbers close, but his shots through the floor are in vain. Now it's Psycho's turn to get lit up. Still got some goo mines in pocket. Would be a shame if he died with them. Down goes Midi to Pino. Khan still holding this close angle, beheading Neskin. Levy on the board, dies Pino. Not where you need to be. Seto hitting a goo mine. That'll slow him down. 20 seconds left. Still utility for Psycho, not particularly troubled by it. Musi gets out of harm's way, drops down. Basetto collecting the kill. Looking for another, can't accomplish it. Khan's going absolutely enormous. Levy has 3 seconds to get in and plant the diffuser. He'll attempt it. Psycho just needs to wait for 0-0-0. He's got it. And he seals the deal. Match point for Ninjas in Pajamas. They're successful on their very first defense.
It wasn't pretty, but Kant is putting up some pretty nice numbers right now in some rounds. The 4 Calamonti, the absolute hero play in that round with an incredible flake straight onto the head of the players of NetShoes Miners. And honestly, we saw NetShoes Miners try to execute. It was very slow, right? They would start the first kill at 40 seconds, and the round ended at 0. So there's like a kill, long breathing room, defenders they rotate, there's no collapse from NetShoes Miners, whereas when NIP attack, they would get the first kill with 20 seconds left, but the round also ended with like 10 seconds later. So a continuous loop of follow-up on repeat until the attackers are successful. That's the big difference. They both played it slow, they both used all their drones, but one team has that synergy and explosiveness, and the other one just kind of fell short. They are fishing for kills and not pushing for kills. I like the timeout to talk things through, but realistically, I think you could have taken the timeout 1 or 2 rounds ago, maybe even earlier, depending on like what you think the problem was. But that's also the thing. By NIP having so many rounds be so close in such a time, it doesn't look so bad for NetShoes Miners, right? You're sitting there going like, oh, you know, that 5 seconds left, you know, guys, like that could have been a round for us. It's easy to like deceive yourself as a player and be like, oh, that was a close round. But like, well, they had 4 people alive, you had 0. Was it really close? Not really. Either way, NetShoes Miners, they struggle on their defense, and they struggle on their very first attack. Let's see if this is gonna end up being their final round, or if they will be successful.
A bit of a disappointing start for NetShoes Miners. You didn't listen to the segment on the desk. Their very first matchup against Black Dragons was a 7-0 victory for BD. Their second match was against FaZe Clan. That was a 7-2 for FaZe Clan. Now against Ninjas in Pajamas, it could very easily be a 7-1. That's 3 rounds over 3 play days. That is probably one of the worst debuts we have ever seen at a tier 1 level from any team / any org. Tomorrow they play Los. Now the thing is that Los are also not the greatest team. They've only won 5 rounds so far, but they all came against Black Dragons earlier today. Los only played 2 matches, so their third match will be tomorrow. As was talked about, they got 7-0'd by NIP. Only FaZe Clan has given NIP some trouble so far.
It's been a hectic round. Like not much has happened, but 2 members have taken damage. Wall's been opened up, and NIP they looked like they could use a little bit of intel here. Of course, they are suffering from that Valkyrie ban from NetShoes Miners. That's why they're playing the secondary bulletproof camera on the castle of Pino. But Positions already compromised. It's a good pace right now by Nature's Miners. They're very quick in this round.
Wizard getting rid of Midi. Goodbye. That's not what you need to see. The only hard breach on the board. No secondary hard breach. Instead, 6 claymores available for Netshoes Miners. There goes another. STK eliminated. As Wizard is on a sliver of HP. Musi also dropped quite low. But 90 seconds in, you've lost your Dokkaebi. You've lost your Ace. You've lost your hard breach. You've lost your pocket EMPs, which I guess are not particularly relevant if you don't need to open anything up. Or rather, don't have a way to open anything up, more importantly.
Yeah.
6 claymores, Nick.
That's special. We don't see that every day, and they put them down, to be fair, but not sure about the value.
Levy fighting back. Down goes Pino. Suddenly, we have a 3v3 on our hands. Netshoes Miners just wanting to brute force their way through. That's Basetto to enter down below. Levy wandering in the closet, punished by Musi on a completely different floor. 2 kills from Netshoes Miners. It's prolonging this match. Psycho clutch out. Send Nip home 7-1. He's got a great shot against Basetto, but luck runs out against Neskin. Netshoes Miners winning their 2nd round, matching their tally for the stage so far in 1 game. Timeout seemingly paying off. There's a long hill to climb.
Yeah. But I mean, when it comes to Netshoes Miners, right, every single round victory is good. And the more experience for them, the better as well. Because they are, not as established. And of course, they want to work out their map pool too. One of the issues with being a new team having new members on it is that, or just lack of experience in pro play together, is that your your map pool is going to suffer. So when you're in that drafting phase, you're going to be forced, and like C-Dubs kind of spoke about this in this, you're forced into bad maps, or at the very, very best case, like neutral maps compared to your opponent. It's why it's such an important asset to your team to learn new maps of like Consulate and Nighthaven maps, because most teams should by today's standard be able to just pull out a Chalet, the Oregon, those kind of basic maps like the Clubhouse. And yeah, they're not easy to play by any means. They've been around for so long, and there's so many VODs you can watch and study how other teams do it. Like, just watch the best teams in Oregon in the world. Study how they do it. Take a lot of notes, if you will. Write them down in your own strat book. Make some small adjustments. And wow, you're a great Oregon team all of a sudden, right? And we see teams that are very established spend a lot of time, like, they want to learn the Nighthaven laps in the Consulate because they already know the basic maps.
Netshoes Miners have an opportunity to continue what would be quite the upset, but like I said, it's a big hill to climb. They'll need 4 more rounds in a row, which would make 5 in total. We've actually seen some impressive streaks today. E1 won 4 rounds in a row before Vivo did the same in their matchup on Cafe. Team Liquid won 5 in a row on the most previous matchup. It's definitely doable. But there's a long way to go. For a team that so far has not looked all that proven. We'll find out, won't we?
We will.
Nip were slow on their attacks. Netshoes Miners looking slow as well, but at least they've made it into the building so far for the first minute.
And NIP don't have that many tools to work with either. Not up to, oh, well, C4 does the trick for Wizard, but there's no mirror for them. So Warden's gonna have to be a big playmaker. Those smoke grenades and flash are gonna be a problem for them otherwise.
Oh,
okay.
A 5v2 for Nip. Excellent position. Grenade in hand. Pino shutting him down. 5-1 Ninjas in Pajamas. 5v1 rather. Need to be an incredible clutch from Midi. 1:20 left. Perfect time to throw out those gas canisters. Khan's trying to stop him. A flawless round from Ninjas in Pajamas to send us home. 7-2 to scoreline. Nip looking like their usual self.
Yeah. I was gonna say, that is the old school Nip that we know and love, and it seems like they're keeping it up. It wasn't just a one game, you know, thing against FaZe where, you know, they really played well, or a 7-0 earlier against Lost. No, this is a consistent performance from them 3 games